troubled soul, wondering when the end will come. Will he take it slow? Sitting there in silence, he knows the end is near. Felt the raven's threatening cry. The way is very clear. Did he take the easy path down this road of life? Done his share of losing faith, but nothing else looked right.
Hello listeners, this is Tom Ryan and welcome to True Ghost Stories here on Life Omni Radio, WLOR.net. You're at the right place at the right time if you want to hear some amazing ghost stories and paranormal experiences. So grab yourself a drink and tuck yourselves in. Get comfortable, but get ready to face your fears. We are True Ghost Stories and we are calling all ghosts. Come out, come out, come out of your homes. Come out from wherever you may roam. Hello, listeners and chatters, and thank you all for being here with us tonight. We are True Ghost Stories, and we like to add some substance to our shows. More questions, more answers, more stories, more research, more truth. The only way the world is going to know the truth is if we find the truth. And we're not alone. There's far too many witnesses out there and researchers with stories to tell, and it's our job to share them. True Ghost Stories' approach is open-minded because we care not only about the living, but for the spiritual world as well. And maybe through our journeys, we could figure out why they're here and what they want from us. Or perhaps we can even help a soul cross over. We are True Ghost Stories, and we like to think outside of the box. And that's why I'm here. My name is Tom Ryan, and I am one of the hosts of True Ghost Stories. And I sense a presence here, somewhere close to me. My co-host, maybe?
Not that close. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing good, Adam. How are you, buddy?
I am doing great. I'm really, I'm feeling good today. It was a great weekend, and I am looking forward to this program.
Yes, and as am I, because tonight we have a paranormal researcher. But also a medium, and with an interesting twist. I spoke to our guest earlier, and he has a gift for gab with the recently deceased when it comes to capturing their photos, and I think it's just going to be something interesting to touch on because, as you know, I'm always interested in what the dead have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much in what the living have to say, but what the dead have to say. Really interests me. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome to the show tonight Mr. Paul Coffey. Paul, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
How are you tonight?
And thank you for asking me to be on your show.
You are very welcome.
So, yeah, the paranormal has been, a thing I've been involved in most of my life, And
is this starting in the military days, Paul?
Not really. It started earlier, but not in a big way. I did see some things. I saw a ghost when I was a child, and I was staying at somebody's cottage, and I saw this. I went downstairs to use the bathroom, and I saw down in Cape Cod, by the way, down in Wareham, and so as I was walking down the stairs, I saw this apparition, a woman standing there in the middle of the room. Mm-hmm. And she was fully dressed and everything. And as soon as I stepped down and gazed at it, she was looking at me, and it just walked off and walked right into the wall. Mm-hmm. So I was totally amazed by it. I went back upstairs. I woke up my friend's mother and said, "You got a ghost downstairs." And she came down with me and, looked around. There was nothing. And then she said, "Oh, you're seeing my bathing suit hanging up in the bathroom there. Let's just go to bed and forget about it," And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." But, I never forgot that. And as stated, spoke to you earlier today about my experiences in the military, where the paranormal opened up while I was stationed in Germany on a original Nazi airfield back years ago, back 1980, where they used to execute people during World War II. And, back in 1980, you would never think that there'd be any remnants of World War II. You knew the base was an actual Nazi base, but you never thought anything more of that. Everything else is, just history, right?
Right.
But, there was a bunch of spirits that were lingering by the police station, where in the back of the police station there was an enclosed courtyard, and they took prisoners out and just executed them there, probably hundreds, maybe thousands of them, I don't know. But their spirits, every time I walked up the path alongside the building, I felt, the temperature drop and the hairs on my body stood up, and I felt hundreds of people looking at me, and also an immense amount of dread in my stomach, which was totally, absolutely unnatural, So
Paul, do you
eventually
feel
I went
the
into
same? Paul, I'm sorry. Do you feel the same? Do you pick up the same vibes every time you have an experience, or does it depend on the situation or the location, or is it just a general sense that kind of always is a familiar sense?
No, see, I had a career in telecommunications in Boston for many years at a high level, and like on top of the Prudential Center. But at any rate, I didn't focus on the paranormal much throughout my career. I was just too busy. But when I retired early, and I decided to go back and take a second look. And when I did, it just exposed itself to me. And it's been a very interesting. I started looking at this back in 2010, and I've been ghost hunting ever since. And things have happened along the way. I actually found out that I am a spirit sensitive, and that means that I could feel spirit energy around me. And there was a point in time, it's a story in itself, I was asked to send spirits to the light, and I was asked by my deceased mother. She came down, talked with me on a Ovilus 10 that I own, and I had a conversation with her a couple of times on that device, and one of the times she said she wanted me to send spirits to the light, and I'm like, well, who authorizes me to do that? And she said, moments, levitate, and she went back up to heaven, I guess, and came back down 20 minutes later, and the next sentence into the Ovilus was, Jesus says it's okay. So with that being said, I went ahead and took a course, psychic development course, which taught me how to cross spirits over. And I've been doing that since then, and I've crossed over thousands and millions of spirits, I believe. And second to that, I believe that I also attract spirits to myself. So
Paul, real quick, this is Adam. I just wanted to make sure everybody listening kind of understands some of your credentials as well. First off, you were in Germany, you mentioned, when you were in the military in the 80s. Where were you in Germany?
A town called Schwäbisch Hall, and Dolan Barracks is the name of the location. Schwäbisch Hall.
Was it? Hold on one second. Was it? Would the whole town be called something like Schwäbisch Gmünd or something like that?
No, there is a Schwäbisch Gmünd. This is Schwäbisch Hall, Hall.
The reason why I ask is because I was stationed over in Karlsruhe, Germany, in the late '80s. Yeah. I'm a Army veteran myself. I want to thank you for your service. So I was curious. I actually had. You're welcome. I had actually visited Schwäbisch Gmünd at one point. I had a friend over there. So when you said Schwäbisch, all of a sudden I said, "Wait a minute." But you're heavily involved now in this. You're Central Texas Paranormal.
Yes, I am, and I've captured on camera. I say 60 ghosts on camera. However, it's much, much more. I've captured individual full-bodied apparitions, and I have captured groups of apparitions. Okay. The way I do that is I speak to them, and I have the ability to speak to spirit. So I'm a medium as well. I became a medium within the last year, only as an enhancement to what I already do. And I felt it was just a natural thing for me to do.
Right. Paul, let me ask you this: when we have a psychic or a medium come on the show and they say that they can communicate with spirits,
right?
I mean, just describe to me, the definition of communication in this sense, because it's obviously. Okay. It's not as advanced as a back and forth conversation, right? Is it a feeling? Is it how does this communication take place?
Psychically, and it's not. You don't hear it in your ear. It's in your intuition, but it goes into your head. They psychically speak to you, and what years and years ago, many years ago, people used to speak psychically, and we never used to use our mouths except to eat. We could talk and eat at the same time by doing that. But it's something we grew away from that, and because we were taught, man taught us to speak with our mouths rather than our minds. So
you're saying like Cro-Magnon man was speaking psychically? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Way back.
Okay.
So, but I saw this on TV just not too long ago that, maybe on Ancient Aliens or something like that, where they said, man at one time spoke psychically rather than with its mouth. So I believe it. But that's what it is. It's your intuition, your third eye, which is located in your brow, in the middle of your brow of your head. And you actually can hear the spirit talk to you. And there's many earthbound spirits. And they'll come up and talk to you. They'll talk to you, no problem at all. And they want to be your friend, or they want you to send them to the light, whatever they want. But
have you run into negative energies, negative spirits?
Yes, I have. They do exist. There are negative earthbound spirits. Mainly, it's a long subject, but it's something I can't. You have to have more time to explain it. But they can morph into larger sizes and make themselves look fierce. But there's spirits that attach to you. There's spirits that can eat up your aura, energy field around you, and then put chinks into your aura, which then opens up a path for spirits to actually jump inside of you, and then they can attach within your body.
Have you any experience with anyone you know, or a witness, or possibly at some point yourself, where you dealt with something like that?
Yes, we're talking about me. We're talking about my experiences, and this is true coming out of my mouth. This is my experience. I'm not lying about this stuff. Now, as far as the other ones, the dark ones, the demons, yes, I've also had experiences with them, because I was ghost hunting for a number of years, and then I said, you know what, I never I never saw her. I never encountered a demon. So I joined a group. It's called the Order of St. Michael, and I don't know if it still exists or not. But my first investigation with them, it was a demon investigation, okay, and there were more than one demon there, and there was a possessed lady, and she was possessed or oppressed for 3 years. And she went from being a bubbly, charismatic person, very outgoing, would drive around, shop, everything, to a person that was bedridden and almost died, not taking her medicines. And, so she needed 24-hour, people watching her. And, and so when we walked in, I sensed it right away that there was an energy in there that I never felt before in my life. And sure enough, I did a prayer, and it started to attack the son that was with us during the investigation. We were all in the living room, and the son was dancing around the room like, what the heck is this energy that's attacking me? And I'm like, wow. Proof positive, we got something here. And later on, it attached itself to me, and I took it home. And
when that happened, this attachment, was there a physical feeling, or was there something like you just knew something was different?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what a demon does. Now, when it tries to get inside of you, it can stay outside. It can stay outside of you as well, but they're real happier when they can get into your body. And how they get in is there's two different ways. They can go through your mouth, and they can also go through your root chakra, which is down your base of your body, in the groin area, and they can enter that way as well. And when they enter your body, the body of the demon is in you, and you can actually feel the tail. They have a tail. You'll feel the tail hanging out of you.
Oh.
Kind of a nasty feeling. That is what I have experienced.
I mean, it's actually a physical experience for you. Let me ask you this, Paul. I mean, because the thing that always comes to mind for me when I'm thinking about if this was to happen to me, and if I was to experience something on this level, where I'm feeling possessed, or I'm sensing deceased souls in mass, like you said, on the military base. What does this do to your belief in religion and your concept of heaven and hell and life and death? What does this do as far as your position on what you believe, and what does it bring into question? Because I would think that something like this, once you're convinced that there's proof of it, there's no longer a question about it. It has to drastically change your approach to your philosophy about life, or maybe not. So
absolutely,
I mean, tell us about that a little bit. Tell us about that.
Sure thing. And my life has changed forever. Because of everything I've experienced, and I've done hundreds of investigations, and most of the time they've all been witnessed, and my evidence has been witnessed being captured. And but yes, all of this, and as far as affecting me in religion and everything, a lot of people think that. You're dabbling in the underworld, and it's non-Christian like.
Right.
Well, but what I'm doing is I'm working directly with God. And with everything I do, I clear spirits, but it's God's light that's taking them to heaven. And the spirits want to go. They missed the boat the first time. Now they want to go. And they come to me, and they want me to send them, and I do. But, experiencing all of this, and with the demons as well, it's built my faith into God. without a shadow of a doubt, that there are angels. To the extent that what I have experienced, what I deal with, in what I do, before my world changed, I was crossing spirits over. I never got help or very limited help from heaven. And but at one point in time, I thought I was painting myself into a corner with sending spirits because I was being inundated by hundreds of thousands of spirits every day. I would sit all day long crossing spirits over all day long. And it was tiring. It very involved, took a lot of my time. I got other things that I want to do, but most of my day is taken away from just sending spirits to the light. Mm-hmm. And it impacted my aura to the extent where I had holes in my aura, and spirits, at night, let's say when I wasn't, I'm sleeping, they would penetrate into me, and I would have as many as 30 spirit attachments in my body.
Well, I have to understand how you could quantify a number like that. It must feel like complete madness, so I don't know how you could quantify it. Second, I'm really curious how you got past when you said earlier, a few minutes ago, something about a demon and feeling a tail and all that. That seems pretty substantial. And how did you get beyond that? How did you clear yourself of that? What was the process there?
Again, it's dealing with the divine. Mm-hmm. And, that's the only way it's going to get cleared. When they do a exorcism or a deliverance, when they do when the Catholic Church does an exorcism, or they do it, the other methods that are out there, a deliverance, it's all religion based. It's God. And what I do is I pray to God as well, and and it's removed from my body with spirit guides that come down and remove them. That's how it happens. The spirit guides remove the demons and also spirits from my body.
When you were
God.
I understand. When you were dealing with that, okay, and they're in you and they're negative, how was that affecting you in your daily life? How were you getting through the day? Was it something where you couldn't get through the day?
Yeah, here it is. And it's a good thing you brought it up. Is that when I had I'd be out cutting my grass, and my aura was impacted. The spirits could go right into me. I couldn't even tell when they were going into me. I would assume, however, they were. Just a regular assumption, and 90% of the time I would be correct. And I would have to stop, break, and clear myself. And because what happens is, with the amount of spirits that were going into me, it brings up your blood pressure. And your heart starts to flutter. There's a little bit of a flutter going on. And I would know right away as soon as that happened. When I did a little physical work, it seemed like I had some stress to my body. And then, therefore, I'd have to stop what I was doing, clear myself, feel 100%, 100% better, go back to work and finish the job. That happens quite frequently. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I'd have to get up, go to the bathroom, and then check myself to see how many spirits were in me. I have guides that I speak to, and sometimes they try to awaken me.
How do you do this, Paul? Paul, is this through meditation? How do you cleanse yourself? Is this through?
A couple of ways. What I use, there's a meditation that summons the archangels to come down to surround me and to remove all of the attachments. So as I do that process, all of the attachments will be taken out of my body and taken away. Yes, it does work. and it's amazing. I've been doing it for a few years now, and so it'll clear the ones on the outside of you and on the inside as well.
Is this a process that you had to learn or had to be it was?
Yeah, I went to different healers, instructors, but I was doing nothing. I wanted to better myself in what I do. I mean, as a spirit sensitive, I'm heads and beyond anybody else in paranormal investigating because of my ability to sense spirits. I've gone into locations and felt where the spirits are, take some pictures, boom, there I have a ghost. You know,
right.
Just like that. But if there are high ceilings and the spirits can hide up in the high ceilings, I don't necessarily feel the energy all the time. So, you know, I've done a bunch of locations like Eastern State Penitentiary. The ceilings are like, you know, 40 feet tall, you know, and they're hiding up there, so you don't really, you know, feel them as much. But if you're in a house, it's like, you know, I can pinpoint where they are within, you know, minutes. And I can also psychically figure out how many spirits are in the house within 5 minutes, and then ask how many are female, how many are male. I can find all that information in just minutes. And then once I do, I investigate, and I get pretty good results, you know.
Do you have a team? Do you have a team of investigators with you? And if so, how many are on the team?
Well, I belong to a group. It's a meetup group, and there's over 400 members to that meetup group. And so you always have different people coming to an investigation, and some are, you know, experienced, some are, you know, just bottom rung trying to get the experience. And sometimes I go and just, you know, help out and you know, and help these people to understand ghost hunting. But yeah, most of all my investigations have been witnessed, and all my evidence has been witnessed. They've seen me take the pictures and come back with you know, ghosts in my evidence. So it's pretty funny sometimes, because my last investigation was a retired nursing home, and there were hundreds of spirits in that location. And I was going there to help out, but I brought my camera as well. You know, so I sat down with my my lounge chair in the main room of this retired nursing home, and I took some pictures. I love taking pictures into mirrors and without getting the flash in the mirror. So you know, I was taking some pictures in this mirror that are, you know, pretty good size, 36 inches wide by 2 foot high, or 30 inches tall. And I ended up capturing 2 ghosts in that mirror. You know,
nice.
One was a girl's face. She was sort of laughing in the mirror, clear as day, had blonde hair. And then another picture where one of our investigators was kneeling or sitting down, and there was a ghost standing right alongside her. You know, so pretty amazing.
Wow.
Well, I want to remind our listeners that they're listening to Drew Ghost Stories on WLOR.net. You got Adam Ginsberg and Tom Ryan here, and we have Paul Coffey on with us. And Paul's website is centraltexasparanormal.com. And Paul's got some video evidence on there, and he's got some more information about the work that he's doing on there. And Paul, you also sent me a few photographs that I think Adam, did I forward any to you?
Not the photos. I've been on his site.
But you are on the site too, and we kind of saw the orbs and what have you. So Paul is definitely he's putting some evidence out there for everybody and the believers and the non-believers out there to look and take a look at, and to, I guess, come to a conclusion on their own about how they feel about it.
Right.
But Paul, thank you very much for coming on tonight.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure talking to you, and I'm hoping that we can have you on again soon, because I know that when we talked earlier, you had some real interesting stories that we don't have enough time to go through. But I'd love to have you on again with us, and maybe we could run through a few of those and just give the listeners a little bit of the experiences that you've had.
Right. And if you want to see more, you can also go on my Facebook fan page, and that also is Central Texas Paranormal on Facebook. And while there, if you like what you see, give me a like.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what we're going to do is on our True Ghost Stories page on Facebook, we will share a link to Paul's website, which we did previously tonight, and we'll share it again later, as well as his Facebook page, so you guys can check out Paul's evidence and Paul's adventures. And we appreciate it, Paul. Thanks for coming on tonight, buddy.
Yeah, Paul, you were great.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yep, bye-bye.
Well, Adam.
Good stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I really appreciated the angle that this went. I is a very spiritual, religious man, and he has a gift. I mean, this is not some young guy trying to pull people's legs. He's an older gentleman.
Right.
He obviously has been living with this, and at times I imagine it's been a burden in his life.
I would have
since he's very young. I was really, I'm really curious about, and he kind of explained it without explaining it. I couldn't understand how he could, I guess, count the number of spirits that sort of coming into his body and so on and so forth. But then a little bit towards the end there, he mentioned how he just kind of has this ability.
Well, you know what it is, man. It's almost if you are going to accept that someone has this type of an ability.
Mm-hmm.
You would almost have to accept that it would have to be some sort of a sixth sense, or something that was instinctual. Because, that was my question too. Is like, are you taught how to cleanse yourself? When he says, I have to wake up and cleanse myself sometimes, and because I have to check if there's any, unwanted spirits that are with me, and how do you get to that point? And what does that mean? I mean. Is he? You hear about a haunted house. Is he a haunted person?
Right.
So it's so interesting to me. But like you said, Paul is he is very devout to this and enters religion. And if you look into his website and his background, and you'll see his upbringing and what he's been through. It's just it's interesting to speak to guys like this and hear their stories and their experiences, because. He believes, and I like to know that perspective. I like to hear that perspective from the person that's convinced, because as we've discussed before on the show, that is a life-changing realization.
Oh yeah, I'm. Look, when he said he could feel a tail, let me tell you something.
Right.
If that's not life-changing and that's later on in life for him, I don't know what is. I don't know if I could go day to day after an experience like that. That would be just very difficult to comprehend and to deal with.
Yep. I agree with you, and it's not something that I could take lightly. That's to say the least.
Right. I wanted to jump to something, Tom. We were going to cover this a couple of weeks ago. This was a news piece that was sent to both of us, and a number of people sent it to me. And, I think I don't know the outcome of what happened, and we'll read the story. But I think things like this, when they do happen, really harm, the entire, I'm going to call it an industry, the paranormal industry. When they do happen. And I'm talking, for those that follow this stuff, apparently I have the news clipping from News 4 Tucson, KVOA.com, where a paranormal fraud took place, haunting town of Tombstone. Apparently there was an event planner that put together some sort of I guess it was a paranormal weekend of some sorts, and the entire thing apparently was some sort of a sham, and she was kind of chased out of town or whatever it may be.
She promised paranormal investigators would be on hand and speaking, and celebrities, and no one was there, and she skipped town apparently.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's really it's really intriguing. Was there an event? Was there real plans going on, or was this some sort of a money grab? Hard to tell, hard to know. I mean, I guess evidence will be found just from us sitting here reading an article. But it's really, like I said, I think that things like that are the bugaboos of what we're dealing with here, because there is so much that you kind of have to open yourself up to and believe in.
Yes.
As we were discussing watching videos or things like this that, some investigators send into us. And at times I find myself putting my face almost against the screen of the laptop to figure out exactly what they're telling me I should be seeing on the screen.
Sure.
And they got the haunting music going and the whole thing, and I'm completely committed and open to it. And imagine you're that way, and you find out about this incredible weekend, and it turns out you spend your dollars, you take a trip across the country or whatever it is, and
and these are people that are trying to support,
right?
The discovery of this or the research of this, and they get flim-flammed, and it's
I mean, it's rough, and you and I in the entertainment industry, and we do the whole con thing, a lot of conventions,
right?
And,
that are first timers, and sometimes you're out there to help them, build it up,
Exactly. And as an event planner and organizer myself and my wife Elsie, things like this, and we don't even do paranormal events. We work more in, as the macabre and the horror and sci-fi type of thing. But, something like this is, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, because every person who runs a convention of any type who finds out about things like this is like, your worst nightmare. That somebody's out there, basically not only harming the paranormal industry, but essentially making, like you just said, first-time events and things like this look very shady, even though they're not.
Risky.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
that's a shame. But she was. So the audience is informed. It looks like the woman that organized it was arrested. And has since been released, and I guess they're allowing the state attorney general to pursue charges if they see fit. I don't know if they're telling her to return the money. We don't have a follow-up to it right now, but I guess just the point is beware of what you are putting your money into, I guess, as far as believing in these paranormal events, and make sure that it's somebody that's a legitimate organizer. Putting it together.
And not only that, if you're dealing with a situation where you're dealing with spirits or a haunting or something like this, and you're really fraught with what are we going to do, and you start looking for someone like Paul, in your local area to come. I mean, I do what you can to make sure that you're not just bringing somebody into your house who's pulling your leg. Trying to tell you what you want to hear.
And that's very true, and that's a big part of what we try to do at the show, is because we know that people want to believe, but we want the truth. We want evidence. We want to see what we could see, and without, like you said, squinting and trying to see what we want to see. We just want to see what we all could see, and then take the discussion on from there.
You know what? You know what's a catch-22 though, Tom?
Yeah.
Is being so involved in film and such. When I watch the videos that really do look great, the first thing I start to think to myself is, all right, what did they do? What did they do in post?
Yeah, and that's what's so unfortunate. And you're right, it is catch-22 because just so many years ago, anything that you saw, the technology and the equipment was so bad that you would have blurry photos or a bad VHS recording or something where you couldn't make it out. And now the technology is so advanced and so good that somebody could have photoshopped that or did the effects on it. So it is exactly a catch-22. We cannot win either way, whatever footage we're looking at. Yeah, but I mean, hopefully, I if it's like I said, I always like to hear from the people that are that can deliver it in a way that maybe it's easier to believe, because when you hear it from the grandmas or when you hear it from the people that maybe are more prone to be superstitious or to believe. It's you know, I mean, you could hear that a lot. I like to hear, and I've said this before I like to hear about aliens from ex-Air Force guys or astronauts. You know, guys that are educated, that are experienced, that have nothing to gain from telling people that they believe in aliens, you know? And I almost feel that way when I hear about paranormal. I love to hear about paranormal experiences from people that don't necessarily believe in the paranormal so much or in religion at all, and they just says, yeah, I had this experience and it was bizarre and I can't explain it. But they don't go any deeper into it because they don't have a real expanded faith on this kind of thing. So it's an interesting journey to try to get to the bottom of what a lot of people are obviously experiencing.
Right. You know, one of the things that freaks me out though is old photos, and I'm talking the ones that you know they're plainly really old photos, and then you see some horrific things in them. Even going, and you know, when Halloween rolls around, they show you you've always seemed to find online these old photos from these costumes from the 20s and 30s and things like that, and they were horrific.
Yeah.
And they almost make you wonder if you're looking at costumes or something else, you know. So it's really tough. We have reached a point, like you said, with tech and all of that you know, as much as you want to believe, you always have to have the raised eyebrow type of thing, because could this really be? I know my wife and I get into these funny little arguments at times because I like to watch the alien type of shows and things like that, but those that are more documentary in nature. And we'll get into these things because she'll start with, "Oh, you don't really believe that stuff," and you know, this, that, and the other thing. And I'll turn to her and say, "Oh, of course I do." And you know, but you know, in the back of my mind, you know what? I don't know. Maybe there is something out there, just as maybe there is something out there, and there are all these paranormal investigators out there, you know, bringing back evidence. Right. You know, it's only I believe honestly, it's only a matter of time till all of these things are either debunked or proven. It's one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I can say is that I believe that it is an amazing world that we live in, and there is a lot of unexplained things about the world that we live in. And that being said, I try to keep an open mind, but I also try to keep a practical approach to what I believe and what I don't believe. And, you know, I'm not easily convinced. But I think that, you know, that could kind of take us into this other thing that Adam sent me here earlier today, and it's on moviepilot.com. Five real ghost stories so creepy you'll never sleep again. And this is by Jancy Richardson. It was posted back in August of 2014, and it's you know, this is the kind of stuff that I like to look at because, photoshopped or not, you never know. You know, they just present this stuff to you that you've never seen, and it definitely flirts with that little part of your mind that wants to believe in the macabre and the bizarre. So I think we should go to the first one here.
Okay.
And it's called Adam, so I think I'll let you read it.
Sure thing. Well, basically, I guess these are 5 stories that are from real people, as opposed to just urban legends and stuff. And whether they're true or not, we're going on the words of Jancy Richardson here, who put the article up. And the first one is called Adam. By the way, I don't think that these photos are meant to match the actual.
No.
Maybe. Nope. Some of them don't seem like they match the actual story.
No,
but guys,
if you... Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, guys, if you want to follow along, you could look for this on moviepilot.com, and it's a heck of a long URL after that. But just get in there and search. Use their search function for 5 real ghost stories so creepy you will never sleep again, and you could follow along. The first one's called Adam. When my daughter was 2, I found her twirling paper towel tubes tied with twine in the air. I asked her what she was doing. She said she was practicing her nunchucks. I was very confused, as she'd have no way of knowing what they were. I asked her what she meant, and she said that Adam had told her how to make them. and showed her each night how to use them. She went on to say that Adam told her to practice because she may need to know how to defend herself someday. I almost freaked out, but asked her what Adam looked like. She said he was tall, blonde, and had blue eyes. She said, "Mommy, you know how he looks. You know him. He died of a headache." I had to leave the room. You see, 4 months before she was born, my tall, blonde, blue-eyed martial arts pro friend had died of a brain aneurysm at the age of 27. She has not spoken of him since that day, so I'm not sure if I scared her with my reaction or if she had completed her lessons. Signed, Michelle Froelich Young.
Adam.
Freaky.
Well, one thing I have to say is that she says when her daughter was 2, the daughter said she was practicing her nunchucks.
Right.
She said Adam told him how to make them and showed her how to use them, and Adam said she had to defend herself someday. All I'm saying is that my son right now is 3 years old.
He couldn't enunciate all of that.
He could definitely not communicate this entire story to me whatsoever. He wouldn't say, and he definitely couldn't say anything about defending himself.
Right.
He would not. He saying tall, blonde, and blue eyes. Maybe
point at somebody.
Died of a headache. I don't know. 2 years old.
A little too young on that story.
I think it's a little too young, but you know. What do I know? Maybe Jack is a slow learner, my son. I don't know.
Oh, come on. Two seems a little young. I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
I just read the stories, folks.
Yeah. So let's move on to the school bus, which I really dig because these are always freaky stories. And they've got a great photo there of an old abandoned school bus sitting under a creepy old dead tree.
Right.
So we're driving from Tijuana to Sonora late at night. I fall asleep and wake up hearing my mom say, "Is that real? How can they drive that way?" And my dad just replying, "I don't know. Why would he be driving like this at that hour?" I opened my eyes a little bit and I saw a very creepy bus driving in front of us at the middle of the desert with all the windows broken and pieces of plastic all around. My parents decided to pass the bus because he was going slower than we were. It was so dark that we couldn't see who was driving. He hit the accelerator and we left the creepy bus behind us. We waited at a rest stop about 45 minutes for the bus to pass. The road had no turns, so you had to pass the gas station. But it never did. That's by Amparo Espinosa. So the creepy school bus. It would have been cool if he said that he saw some kids on the bus banging on the windows.
We're fluffing up his story now.
I think I should have threw that in there. I was hoping.
Perhaps a bus in that condition broke down on the side of the road, and maybe that's why it didn't pass. Or maybe that bus continues to travel the same mile of road over and over and over again forever.
Right, on a loop.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes like to think of spirits or the afterlife as not actually being that, but being a replay of history that you're just witnessing.
Right.
But then that would eliminate the whole communication aspect that we get from a lot of mediums. But anyway, just
maybe there's a combination of things happening. That's the whole point, is that who really understands this stuff? That's why everybody's out there investigating.
Brief communication with the past, right? Yeah.
It could be multiple things happening at once. I mean,
That's
there could be, these recordings, if you will, happening, and there could be spirit activity at the same time somewhere else in the room. Who knows? This one's pretty neat, and the photo for this one is the exact type of photo that I really... This is one of those old photos. I don't know how bad it's been doctored, but it's one of those photos that just really freaks you out. Mm-hmm. And it looks like 3 children. 2 of them have glowing eyes. One is just really odd in the middle. It says Ouija board, Ouija board. We did about 3 Ouija board sessions in our dorm freshman year. After that, we started hearing carousel music, growling, laughing, all when we were in our dorm alone. My roommate Jackie also heard a little girl singing along to a song with her when she was driving. Also, one night she felt a child grab her hand. Throughout all of this, I kept seeing apparitions, a man in uniform standing next to my closet, and a girl with long black hair standing at the foot of my bed. We were right next to Kennesaw Mountain, the site of a major battle, so I figured the man in uniform was a soldier who had perished in battle. As for the girl, I have no idea. Signed, Catherine Hortman. You believe in opening doors with the Ouija board? Do you believe that's true, Tom?
You know, I have fooled around with the Ouija board on many an occasion, especially when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, had some experiences where it worked. Never where it manifested itself into something that we could see.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, with the key moving or the eye or whatever moving along the Ouija board, you know, and everybody saying I wasn't moving it, that type of thing.
Right.
But you know, I always enjoyed the idea of the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
And communicating with the dead, but I've never experienced it where it's actually produced any real results. Have you? I mean, have you?
I think I have a very, very gray memory of messing around with a Ouija board probably before my teens, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old or something. I mean, it's that far back, the memory. That's the probably the last time I ever, first and last. But I do remember the actual, you know, the sensation of the thing sliding around, you know, and people say exactly, oh, I didn't push it, I didn't this, I didn't that. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, a bunch of 12-year-olds sitting around. Somebody, I'm sure, was moving the thing around, you know.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, unfortunately, you know, cool story, but again, nothing we haven't heard before.
Well, kind of. I mean, you know, I not to make a joke of anyone's instances and things like that, but you know, frankly, if I felt something grab my hand, I would probably flip out. You know, I could be driving in my car and a spider runs across my knuckles on the steering wheel, and I'll almost crash the car the second I feel it. So if something grabbed my hand, I don't know how I would handle that. Now, you know, a guy standing next to the closet could be kind of weird. A girl with long black hair standing in front of my bed, I don't know. That's not too weird.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, look, you're laying in bed in the middle of the night and you start seeing apparitions and stuff. I've had, in my youth, I actually had a couple of waking dreams, you know, where you're kind of like feeling paralyzed.
Yes.
And you actually, it feels like your eyes are open and you see everything that's in the room the way it is, and then somebody comes strolling by. And that's a pretty scary type of thing. I've had that happen. I think twice in my life, where actually I heard people talking, and one was in the military. I was in AIT, which is after basic training, where you go to learn your trade. And I had one of these things. I laid down in a bunk one day, and all of a sudden I just couldn't get up. And I heard the drill sergeant coming, and the whole thing, and blah 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 blah. And I ended up waking up a little while later. Nobody was around. Nobody was coming. It's just like a dream within this half awake, half sleepy state.
That's
you know,
sleep paralysis type thing.
Right.
Yeah, you get caught into this. Yep, absolutely. I'm going to read about the dog. I love dogs.
Go for it.
So I'm very interested in what this one's going to be about. About 5 years ago, my family was caring for my brother's dog, a German Shepherd Husky Chow Chow mix, an incredibly gentle dog who never barked. One day, me and my sister came home from school, and like every other day, he greeted us through the upstairs rails and came about halfway down the stairs, where he laid down and watched us. Just as we put our backpacks down, we heard it. The little spot upstairs, right before the steps, that let you know you weren't alone, creaked. And right after the creak, the shuffling followed, like something running away after getting caught. Me and my sister just stood there. I wanted to scream and run out of the house, but we stood there frozen, not knowing what to do. Then the dog immediately stood up and bared his teeth. He was facing towards the stairs, and all the hair on his back started to rise. He chased whatever it was, barking and growling the whole time. It sounded like he was going to freaking kill something. Then out of nowhere, he stopped and came downstairs and stayed by our sides until our dad came home an hour later. Of course, our dad didn't believe us because stuff like this never happened to him, so it didn't exist. This is one of the creepiest things that ever happened to us, and it never happened again after that day. Katya Tatiana Almaraz. And I'm going to tell you what I like about this story, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
It never happened again. It never happened before that.
Right.
This is a story coming from somebody that does not have a history of experiencing paranormal, or this is somebody that is saying, I'm in my house one day. We live in a place where we have a creaky step that we can identify every time we hear it. The dog is downstairs. We hear the creaky step. The dog flips out. The hair stands up on his back, and he's barking at it and going nuts, and he never did this. And then he comes down and lays by us for the rest of the day, and it never happened again. I like this story.
I like it too. When there's dogs involved, they have a sense, and cats as well. They have a sense beyond what we can comprehend. And when they start looking in corners or acting in odd ways, and pointing their aggression in a direction where there's nothing visible, that makes me think twice.
That's right. That's right.
Sure.
I think we got one more to go. We've got to close the show because we're almost running out of time here. But I want to hear this one. It's called Black Mama. Why don't you take that one?
Black Mama. For those who are looking at the photo, my God, that is a freaky photo above it.
Yeah, it is.
When my mom was about 3, my grandma began reading The Exorcist, when all of a sudden she heard humming from my mom's room. When she went in, my mom was waving her arms at the end of her bed. When my grandma asked what she was doing, she said dancing with her. My grandma asked, dancing with who? With Black Mama. How is she black, hon? Like her skin? No, Mommy, like her heart. My grandma burned the book. What's creepier is that my cousin and sister have signed Sam Zollner.
I'm sorry. Hey, Adam, you went out for a second. Say that one more time.
I said my
Cousin and
grandma...
sister?
Cousin and sister have both claimed to see the black girl. Both of them waved their arms. Signed Sam Zollner. A lot of creepy things regarding the Exorcist film. It seems whenever that there's something going on with that film, out of nowhere things start to happen, or maybe people want them to happen. I don't know, but there always seems to be some sort of a tie-in somewhere with that film.
Yeah. I love The Exorcist, by the way. I think it's a great film.
Absolutely.
And if we had to sacrifice some people experiencing some really frightening stuff because of the film, I think it was worth it.
Wow.
But
funny.
Adam, it looks like we are approaching 0 hour, my man. Thanks to Paul Coffey.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Sherry Emily. Thank you to the ad man, Adam Ginsberg, for another great True Ghost Stories. Adam, take us home, baby.
You got it, Tom. Do you ever feel like you're not alone? Do you ever feel like someone or something is near you? Have you felt touched or like something is brushed up against you? Do you hear voices? Do you have a vivid dream of a dead loved one? Do you see shadow people? What are they? Who are they? An angel or a demon? Or just someone reaching out? We believe someone or something is reaching out. We want to tell the world the truth. Our experiences are not a figment of our imagination. There are things that walk the earth that are unknown to us. We want to find out what they are. We want to share it with all of you, and so do they. We want to tell our stories and their stories. We are True Ghost Stories. Tune in next time. We have great guests on this program in store for you. Please listen in to the horrifically talented duo of myself, Adam Ginsberg, and my co-host, Tom Ryan.
Somewhere in the night, very troubled soul is wondering when the end will come. Will he take it slow? Sitting there in silence, he knows the end is near. Felt the raven's threatening cry. The way is very clear. take the easy cut down this road of life. Done his share of losing faith, but nothing else looked right. Time it catches up with you, if only in your dreams. Wake up with a coin in hand and hear the ravens scream. In the shadows of the night, you can run, you can hide. In the shadows of the night, you can lose, you can lose your life.